Hello everybody, Andy here again. Well, today I'm going to hopefully do another one of my scenic walks, and today I'm out an area called Pett level, which is only about 6 or 7 miles away from Hastings where I live. Completely the opposite direction from the last one. I don't know if you can see behind me. I'm actually out on the beach right down by the sea, and I'll give you a little panorama very shortly. But someone's actually done a little a sculpture with all this sort of driftwood and all the bits and pieces that flotsam that floats up onto the beach here. What we hope to find today, right down in front of me, there's actually the remains of a prehistoric submerged forest. So I'll show you a bit about that. I'll also talk to you a bit about a shipwreck that can be seen out here, the remains of a shipwreck. Probably won't be able to see that today because of the way the tide is. It needs to be right out for you to see that, but I can tell you a bit about it. And also, this is an area where they found loads and loads of fossils and even found dinosaur footprints. As I said, I'll just give you a quick panorama around the beach. As you can see, the tide is actually still going out, so I'll be able to get out a bit further. Right in front of me here, this is where what you can see basically is remains of that prehistoric forest, and I'll show you a bit about that in a minute. I hope the wind isn't too strong. It's always the way. Whenever you come somewhere like this, the wind always gets in the way and distorts the microphone, so if that's what happens, you know what it is. Right, coming around, there's a little sculpture that I showed you. Say the expanse of the beach, right around the corner there, and there are the cliffs up the end, which is where you might find the footprints, the dinosaur footprints. Right, well here we are, right down on the beach, and right in front of me is the remains of the prehistoric forest, or some of it, and it's actually right the way along the beach here, but I'll show you in a bit more detail in a minute. But sort of 6,000 years ago or so, sometime after the last ice age, sea level was about 150 foot lower than what it is at the moment, because the polar regions had sort of a lot more ice than they do at the moment. And there was a forest that grew right the way along the beach here, right the way along the coast actually. You can see little bits of it still around Hastings as well, but not as much as you can here. And we were actually joined to France and the continent, when France is right ahead of me, about 30 odd miles away, so you could walk from here to France. And this forest grew, the climate warmed up, so we had this forest right the way along here. But as it warmed, of course, the ice melted, and where have we heard that story before? And then the sea level rose, submerged the forest about 3 metres more than what it is, higher than what the sea level is at this very moment, and submerged the forest. And of course it got sort of preserved in all the salt and the mud that you can see in front of me. But since the 1600s, the 16th century, the sea levels have dropped a little bit once again and exposed it. And if I sort of come down right in front of me here, you might be able to see that you can actually see some of the actual wood, sort of parts of the wood, actual little branches and all that as well. And if I sort of pan out and come a bit, I can actually show you right down in front of you here, hopefully. There we are. I can actually scrape it away. You can see bits of it coming away, and that's just little bits of wood and that in there. And as I said, you've got these little twigs and all that in here, and this goes right the way along the beach. Another thing this area is very good for is bird life. You might be able to hear the birds around me sort of tweeting away because of the way the tide comes in and out. It's a great feeding ground. You get lots of little sea creatures and animals and little things like that, and all the birds love them. A great area, as I said, a great area for bird watching and just for birds generally. I'm walking on the beach now, going towards where the shipwreck is actually. This particular area, as you might have mentioned before in different videos, is that I always like to go to places that maybe are a little more out of the way, that you have to make a bit of an effort to get to. A bit of a bugbear of mine, I suppose, but this particular area, Pett level, is so accessible, but as you probably noticed, there's hardly anyone about at all. But there's a road nearby, so it's not very far from Hastings, but quite a nice accessible place. So lots of people have got these places. I may have said this before, hopefully you have. Hopefully you're one of those people as well that has a place that you can escape to. I have mentioned that before, and most of us have got places like this relatively near to our doorstep. I suppose I'm quite lucky, as I've mentioned before, the area that I live in, the history, the natural history, just the lovely scenery and that. But a lot of us have got that type of thing. Sometimes you do have to search for it very slightly. Well, this is the area around here where the shipwreck can be found. As I said, only really on very low tides, which today it won't be. The shipwreck is actually a ship called the Anne, and one of our regular battles, the British against the French, and it was actually the Battle of Beachy Head. And it was a British ship, a 70-gun warship, and the battle was fought in the English Channel, as I said. And the ship was damaged during the, I'm going to get my feet wet, The ship was damaged during the battle, and rather than it actually be captured by the French and be used as a trophy or even as a weapon, I suppose, they decided they set fire to it and scuttled it down onto the beach here, right in front of me. But there is another one nearer home, actually just down on the beach near me, about a mile away from where I live. Another ship, a Dutch ship from a different battle. That one sunk in 1749, a ship called the Amsterdam. They've actually done some excavation on that, some Dutch archaeologists, marine archaeologists. Quick update, I don't know if you can see in front of me, this is where part of the forest ends, and there's bits here which I must admit I've never actually seen before. Far greater sort of log slip, if you can see that. And up here as well, there's sort of big lumps of it, whether it's part of the forest or maybe it's bits of the shipwreck I was talking about, you never know. Well, I'm now up towards the end of the beach, and this is the area called Cliff End, probably for very obvious reasons. And so this is the area that they found all the dinosaur footprints and fossils. They all come from apparently the Cretaceous period, which I understand is about 135 million years ago. And one of the reasons for this happening is because of all the coastal erosion. If I can pan in, I can go, let's have a look, right up in front of you there. You might see that little lump sitting out in the sea there. That is actually a collapsed cliff there. In that particular area, it's called Fairlights. They've actually even had houses collapse into the sea around that area. As you can see, that's just slipped down straight off the cliff. And right the way along here, if you look a bit closer, you can actually see where it's sort of the grooves and everything in there. And bits, I'll go along there and then show you a bit more detail. But that's just constantly eroding right the way along the whole coast along here. Well, here I am at the base of the cliffs, and I think if I pan round here, you can actually see what I mean about the erosion. I was out here a few weeks ago, and this particular bit here has just fallen straight down the cliffs. And so you can see why we get the fossils that we do. I mean, all this just keeps falling down all the time, and there's actually birds nesting up in these up in the cliffs here as well. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but say right the way along here, it's just this constant battle with coastal erosion, and bits just keep falling off every sort of winter. Every time we get a storm, another piece will fall off. This is the area I was talking about earlier on with the cliff erosion. I just walked a bit further along the beach, and you can see here exactly what I was talking about. If I sort of pan around, you might be able to see some of the houses on top of the cliffs here. And there's one around here. If I pop around the corner here, there's actually one, that one there, which as you can see is actually been abandoned. And you can see they put loads and loads of stones and rocks and everything at the bottom of the cliff to try and prevent any more damage, because as I said, some have actually fallen into the sea a little bit further along the coast. Constant danger and a worry in this area, I'm afraid. Well, that's just about it for another walk. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I mean, we've had quite an exciting time, hopefully. Prehistoric forest, submerged forest. We've had the hints of dinosaur footprints and fossils generally, all that cliff and coastal erosion that I've shown you. Hopefully a nice beach as well. I might be able to show you bits of it as I'm talking about this actually. There's a nice little bay here where I am at the moment actually, I've just discovered. So I've gone to places and learned things that I didn't know myself, which is one of the things about these walks. As I've gone on before about, you don't have to go very far, hopefully, to actually find something of interest. A little bit of research, this is what I usually do into these things, look into a bit about the area. I mean, nowadays with the internet and all that, it's amazing what you can find. And you can hear those birds behind us, so there's loads of birds nesting in the cliffs behind me. It's getting rather noisy, getting a bit protective about fighting each other, I think. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for all the comments on the other ones that I've done, especially the one that I did recently up on the Long Man on the South Downs. I'm hoping to go back that way very, very shortly and do one of these walks around Beachy Head. And anyone who knows Beachy Head will know the lighthouse, but hopefully I'll be tantalise you a bit. I'll show you a completely different view to what you're used to. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for all the comments, as I said before. Now I've got this video camera, I can get out there and do this rather than showing you photographs, which is always a bit better, I think. And you can do a bit of talking and that as well. It does hopefully bring it home to you a bit more about what's out there. So there you go. Anyway, thanks very much for that. I shall see you again very, very shortly. Thank you. Goodbye.